Welcome to the agenda after a heartbreaking loss to the Giants inside the final minute on Saturday. With me is Jay Clark from the Herald Sun. Jay, Stevie J, I'm sure he's done it before. Well, he's done it again to us.
He kicked the match winner. He's a genius, Chris. So there's no doubt about that. How frustrating for Collingwood. I mean, deplorable really against Carlton the week before, and they front up against GWS and again produced some of their best football this season. And therein lies the whole Rubik's Cube that it's been Collingwood's season this year. You know, they're favourite to beat Hawthorn this weekend, Chris, and rightly so, because you look at the best footy they've played, that high water mark, and it's challenging everyone. But then again, you know, sometimes they're really fading out. We'll talk about the first and second quarter in a second. They're in a winning position. Jared Blair at the end, he missed that shot on goal, that slide tackle which then coughed the ball up to GWS. You know, these are big moments under high pressure in a footy game. So, look, that'll be really disappointing. But when you look at the glass half full of some of their very good footy, you know, they were quite good. Now, Hawthorn haven't beaten them since 2011 prelim. So haven't beaten them under Nathan Buckley. Favourite, as I said, when you look at Rioli out, Stratton out probably, Isaac Smith under an MRP charge, which you'll have a look at. No Birchall. That kicking game has given the Hawks have given the Pies a lot of trouble in the past. But look, maybe Treloar back, I think the Pies will be in a good position to beat them if they can produce, Chriso, their best footy. But what on earth happened between the first quarter and the second quarter?
Well, I mean, the first quarter was outstanding, wasn't it, with the pressure? But what dropped off in the second quarter was pressure. Tackles, 7. 7 tackles Collingwood laid in the second quarter, and what it allowed was the ball movement. We got smashed in contested possession as well, and it allowed some free, easy ball into the forward half of the Giants. And we know how good the Giants forwards are. Cameron was dominant, 6 marks and 3 goals. Lobb made a strong contribution. Johnson was strong in that second term as well. So whilst everything went right in the first quarter, the second quarter pressure dropped completely off, and as a consequence, the Giants were able to get back into the game. But full credit to the Magpies, because playing away the second half, I mean, it was almost goal for goal in that second half, and really it was a toss of the coin late to lose the game. And as you say, a couple of little things late that might have been done differently may have ended up with a different result, but just heartbreaking that you get beaten with 30 seconds to go.
Exceeded expectations, really. Only 3 people in the Herald Sun tipped Collingwood at the weekend. Pendles, of course, Bill Shorten, and the kiss of death. So no one was really expecting the Collingwood to be in this match.
Jay, let me talk about the setup, because we have been calling on this show for weeks for Reid to go forward and for Darcy Moore to be the support ruckman. It happened, and it looked good.
It looked good. It did, because I think we saw, especially early, Elliott get off the chain. So with Reid and Moore in the forward half early, Elliott was able to do some damage. They were hitting up that short target. I sort of liked the way that looked. And then later in the game, there was a surprise, because then Moore then goes into the ruck and had the athleticism, sort of jumps over Mumford a bit and has the athleticism for Lobb, who then started giving Grundy some trouble. So while the Pies have been careful to protect Darcy Moore, I think this forward ruck sort of interchange can work for him. And I think him getting busy in the middle, get him involved in the game, really can work. But as you said, Reid, you know, he didn't have a big day out, and Cameron sort of gets off the chain in the back half. But I think Reid being there in the forward half really is the way to go for the rest of the season.
He takes the best defender, which means that Moore gets the second best defender. And what also Ben Reid does is straighten the team up a bit. I think he's the best target to go forward, and I think they should persevere. And well done to Bucks, because when the Giants forwards in the second quarter started playing well, he resisted the temptation to put him back. So I reckon he needs to stay there.
And moving forward, the changes this week, Chris, so what would you do if you're in charge of the whiteboard?
Well, hopefully Treloar's back. He should be back after his ankle. He'll be a massive in. The big one for me is Travis Varco. If he's able to come into this side, I think he adds an enormous amount. And I wouldn't mind seeing him off half back. And maybe there's an option, now wait for this, to move Tyson Goldsack forward as another third tall option in the forward half. We know how good he's played there. He's played in a premiership team in that role where he can kick a couple of goals, but his forward pressure is amazing. So maybe there's a couple of things. And you've been calling for Scharenberg for weeks.
I can't believe he didn't play. You look in that last quarter, that critical moment where they needed some good ball use, right, some composure, and that's what his game is. So look, he is ready. He was very good in the VFL at the weekend. I know maybe he plays the same role as Howe, so it's a balance issue, but I reckon Matty Scharenberg, saying it for a couple of weeks now, has got to come into this team, especially against Hawthorn. You know, they play that kicking game, so maybe it's a good experience for him. him. Also, the one to watch is Callum Brown. So the father-son gem, best in the VFL, I noticed, in the weekend. Had been out with glandular fever. He can play that forward pocket role.
That'd be great to see him.
He can do that. Yep. So if Blair's in the gun, Braden Maynard kicked those late couple of goals. He might be under some selection pressure as well.
A couple of selection issues for the coach, but hopefully Travis Varco is okay to go. Time now for our Monday moments, and I settled on this absolute gem from Steele's side bottom. Now, we see a lot of dribble goals,
It was
Jay.
good Steele.
We see a lot of dribble goals, but I've got to say this is one of the best I've ever seen. Hard up against the boundary line. The pressure was immense, and it hardly looked as though he got any real purchase on the ball. But how good is that?
Yeah, little tap. And he's sure hitting the post there.
Amazing.
Not happy. Shorey really angry because they used his man. They tried to hit up on Heath Shaw's man early as he sort of zones off. But a great goal. Eddie Betts I like that still back in form. Hey, I'm going to have, we spoke about Braden Maynard just for a second. Now, he did deliver from a goal-kicking perspective in that last quarter. In fact, he thought, I reckon he thought that he'd won the game for the Pies. If we'll roll to his two highlights now, you see Braden Maynard, so back pocket comes up in the field, unloads on his left foot. Look, it's so deep into that last quarter. In fact, just started the last quarter. So that was his first one. Here comes his second one. Levi Greenwood again on that left foot, 30 metres out. Beautiful shot under a bit of pressure there. And that's a team lifter. So you look, that with 6 minutes left, it puts them a few points ahead. Of course, it's Stevie J.
We all know what happened. Well, let's hope for a bit more luck against Hawthorn on Saturday night and a Magpie win. That's all we've got time for on the agenda this week. We'll see you next week.